technology has played a very big role in the speed at which people can adopt and roll out different types of products. I wonder, from an ICI perspective, for a group that is now representing many of the biggest asset managers out there and fund providers, maybe take us through some of the behind the scenes, if you will, for what the conversations are like from a regulatory, legal framework standpoint for advocating on behalf of fund managers and sponsors who want to put out crypto-related ETF products versus the ones who dabble in more traditional products like stocks, bonds, or even commodities. How different is the conversation that you're having with regulators and lawmakers about just what it takes to roll out a crypto product at scale?
So it's actually very similar. The conversation really isn't that different. And the basics are the same, which is we want there to be regulatory certainty. You know, we're a regulated industry. Anytime the regulators are not providing certainty, it becomes legal risk, regulatory risk. We've got to mitigate that. And then the other thing is we want pro-innovation. We like the idea that through competition, firms, our members, can come up with new products, try them out, see if there's an interest in them. So that's really what we've been advocating for, both on Capitol Hill and with the SEC. And I'm very happy to report that our views get a lot of traction. We're very optimistic that Chairman Paul Atkins and his commissioners are thinking very thoughtfully about this issue, and we're engaging with them very closely.
It's interesting because it's fair to say that a group like yours does have some influence in crafting out what policy has looked like. Would you maybe handicap for us how you feel the current regulatory and legal framework regime has differed with regard to this administration and its treatment of the fund management business, especially around crypto, versus what you've seen in the past? And by extension, what exactly is the path forward in terms of trajectory look like when it comes to the adoption and rollout of more kind of, I wouldn't say frontier type products, but more forward-looking type products?
Well, I think first is I want to manage expectations because we're at the beginning of the journey in our conversations with the regulators about crypto. The CFTC does not yet have a permanent chairman. Paul Atkins has only been in office now for a few months. So we're at the beginning of the journey. But what I can say is they're very interested in hearing the views of groups like mine at the ICI. They want to talk to member firms. They want to understand what they're seeing in the marketplace. And this, to me, is a really positive step. I think at the prior SEC, there was a greater hesitation in terms of engaging with the industry. So again, conversations, a lot of data collection right now, a lot of trying to understand what's in the marketplace. But we're very much at the beginning of concrete proposals.
And Sal, if I could turn to you from a person who has to operate within this regulatory framework, how easy is it, so to speak, for you to get an idea for a product and roll it out and create a fund for it? Do you feel as though this is an environment that can kind of breed innovation within ETFs, or do you feel as though there are still things that ETF providers and the investors that deal with them have to understand more of before maybe these kind of newer type products are unveiled?
I think it's always the case that people don't need to understand more, but I think the regulatory environment in Washington has changed in that our job is the same and the steps that we take to list the fund are the same, but there's no animosity anymore. Now they look at what you submitted, they look at it with reasonable eyes. We're not feeling like they're antagonistic, that they're looking for a problem, that they're looking to actually go against whatever it is you're trying to do. It's a completely different environment in Washington right now. It's more friendly, it's more welcoming towards innovation, especially in crypto. And that's a welcome sign, and that's a relief for us.
From a provider standpoint, Sal, though, you do appreciate the idea that you use the word, adversarial, antagonistic. There is probably a reason that some of the prior administrations did treat them with a bit of more of a skeptical eye, and that was to try to protect investors or traders that deal in these products. Do you feel as though the investing community has become savvy enough on a general consensus basis than they were, say, 10 or 20 years ago? Do you feel as though people understand the fund management business better, the products they put out, and then don't need as much hand-holding as they have in the past?
I think we're getting there. I think that people are becoming more savvy. I think savvy enough. I'm not sure anybody will ever be savvy enough. You've got to keep learning, got to keep on track. It's really important, especially the creativity of the products that are coming out. People need to understand what they're owning. The regulators are there. They're doing a great job. The U.S. markets are the safest markets in the world for a reason, because we have tight and very thorough regulations enforced by the regulators and overseen by the regulators. But there's a different environment now in that it's friendly, and that helps a lot. But I think investors always need to be learning. They're never sophisticated enough, in my opinion.